silverware, but it's just like the other stuff that is on the table in addition to the silverware. Like I obviously am not from this world, but I mean, not from like the world of like, I am from this world, of like the rich world with like 7 different types of forks, but man, it's like, I don't know. And so that's pretty much how silverware happened, because with this podcast, like I said, we're not trying to break down who's making silverware right now or who made silverware even 100 years ago. It was more just like, what did people how did it happen that we went from not having silverware to just having silverware, and then just this blossoming of just silverware all across the world, and people were just like, well, I have a table fork, I have a deli fork, I have a fruit fork. It was like, why? But and that is how silverware happened. And now it's time for the roundup. The roundup. The roundup. And we're going to round it up. Early humans used sharpened rocks as early knives. Spoons come along in the form of whatever they can find. This leads to the modernization of spoons. Early forks come from China as well as ancient Egypt. The fork migrates all over Europe, making its first stop in Venice. Forks become commonplace. A mad Frenchman invents butter knives out of spite, and Americans eat different because we were late to the party. Things I didn't know before, and now I know them. Never heard of these things. What are they? Okay, so in the things I didn't know before segment, there's a couple things. I'm still honestly tripping off the fact that there's an ice cream fork. I'm sorry, that's still like bouncing around in my brain. The oldest piece in the oldest jewel piece in the Royal Crown Jewels of Britain is the coronation spoon that we were talking about earlier. And it's literally a crown jewel. Like I didn't know that. And so when you talk about spoons and stuff, and we talk about their uses and everything, but it's like, part of it, you like when you talk about, they were like coronating kings and stuff with spoons 500 years ago. It's like, no, they weren't. But yeah, they totally were, and they kept the spoon. It's still there. That's wild to me. Like that they have a special spoon that's like almost 1,000 years old. I didn't know that. Okay, so next one is that forks are mentioned in the Bible. Did not know that. It's in the first book of Samuel, and I'll quote just a little bit. And the priest custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servants came while the flesh was in seething with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand. Right? So the flesh hook of 3, that's a fork. And the book that I'm reading from essentially was probably written 500 years BC, something like that, give or take. So it's just, I did not know. If you asked me, are forks in the Bible? I'd be like, probably not. But that's why this segment is here, because it's things that I don't know. Okay, and that's been another episode of How Did That Happen? I thought it was pretty interesting. That's why I do this stuff. Most of that stuff that I told you guys I did not know before, and it's like that's why it's fun. That's why that's what interests me. So yeah, we're gonna be back for another week another episode next week. Should be episode 20. Will be our 20th episode. Like I said, I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. Like, rate, subscribe if you can. Any way you can help the podcast and help us get out there for more people to come with us and find out how things happen. It'd be great. Other than that, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week.